Welcome to CoinBook. My name is Calvin Waite, and I'm a professional crypto trader.
Well, thank goodness we had an all-time high this morning because it's been about 2 days, The clock is ticking. Oh man, I can't believe it. We are back to all-time highs every other day. So this is pretty awesome. Before, when we were doing this big run here, we were just hitting all-time highs every day, missing a day here and there, and then all-time highs, all-time highs. And then we had a nice little break, which is going to really pay off. This dip here is spectacular. Super happy about it. And now we're back to all-time highs. The 8th was an all-time high. 9th was an all-time high. Yesterday, small rest. Today is an all-time high. These are the fun times. You just have to remember that it isn't going to last forever. So you got to be smart and really watch closely. But for now, we are above our line. This trend line is absolutely guiding our movements right now. And even though we're all the way up here at almost 78,000 or 48,000, excuse me, we'll be there soon. Don't worry. But our line is down here at 42,000. So we will most likely reconnect with this line at some point. So don't get too excited at these prices, because we will definitely be back to this line. Every day it's going steeper because this is a log scale line, but wow, it's amazing. But yeah, with this structure that we're doing right here, it's just a matter of time, and we're going to hit our 50,000 mark. In fact, we will most likely with this structure here, we'll probably hit 52 or 53 by the time this next little leg up goes through. So that's what I'm seeing on Bitcoin right now. Everything's looking really nice, and yeah, we're definitely. I mean, there's a case to be made that we'll probably hit around 54 to 55 in this next swing up. So enjoy the ride. Don't be afraid to take a little profits if you need to, because everything has to take a rest, but we're definitely on the upswing. So this is really fun. So the question I have is, will the altcoin market hold the line? And this is the line. We are right on it. So these lines are coming into play very, very, very powerfully. This high was exactly on the line. This low was exactly on the line. When it threatened to break, we were back above. It's so crisp. It's actually quite amazing. This dropped to the line exactly. This one to the line exactly. Everything is right in this range. And what I like here is that we've broken back above, and exactly right now we are trying to hold this line as support. If this line holds by the end of day, we will be. It could be very, very, very good for the alt season. I mean, I think we're already here. I think we are in another upswing, but this line has definitely been a pivot for us. So we're going to watch this very closely and see how it goes. But you can tell that there's a lot of movement in the alt market. So it would not surprise me if we hold this line and we can keep going up on our alt season here. This is all of us watching the price ticker of Bitcoin, just waiting to see when it hits 50,000. I want to be the first one to see it. So I wanted to reemphasize how important the end of day is. Anything intraday is still, it's not in the books yet. We need closes. And why are closes so important? It's because everybody's trends, everybody's averages, everything that people are looking for on a chart is almost universally uses the close price. So where yesterday Litecoin just barely closed above our line here, it's not enough to sell investors yet. And so today's close is what I'm watching. Right now we are below the line again. So if we close below, then this exit means nothing. So you have to have a close outside of the range, but you also need a confirmation. And in this case, we don't have confirmation yet, and we're looking for that today. So we are waiting to see if Litecoin can pull back. If we close above this line at end of day, then Litecoin is a buy. This is just from an educational standpoint. I'm obviously not a financial advisor, but this would be a pretty sweet entry point, breaking outside of this wedge, especially because the wedge is so old. I mean, our beginning of our wedge started back in December, middle December, and here we are coming up on middle of February. So this is 2 months old in this channel. Breaking out for the first time is a big deal. We just need that confirmation. So that's one that I'm watching pretty closely. BAT is having a monstrous day. Get some of this noise out of the way. So BAT, we are above the 50. We're hovering in this space. We're starting to gain some strength as we broke out of our descending channel here. And now today it's paying off. This is a great move. Oh man, BAT is looking good. This is definitely, I mean, the risk reward down here is just amazing. From the very bottom, we were already at a double, and I think there's plenty more upside. I mean, look at our normal trading range. It's way up here. Long term, I bet this line will come into play. I bet the first time we touch this, we'll get rejected. It's at about 2,000, so we still have a ton of room to go. But that looks really nice. I've been watching EOS very closely. You can see that it is out. We are out of the red zone. So EOS, this is one that I've heard a fair number of people kind of poo-pooing on it. And it's down, but it's one that I feel like is going to pay off. Getting out of the red zone after a solid 5-6 months of red zone, this is prime. So that's looking really good. I wanted to mention that Decred keeps having its. We're having new highs in our run almost every day. It is absolutely awesome. So this thing is just cooking along. Steam is starting to wake up. So when we exited the red zone down here, we struggled but did find support on the 50. This was technically a close below, but when it's in the vicinity and it still pops up, this will still count as a support. So we're back up to our breakout range right here, and we had a wick that definitely went much higher, but you can just see the upside on this. Our 200-week moving average is just out of the world. We're not trying to shoot for this though. We are shooting for triples or quadruples, something like that. But they can easily happen when we're down at such a sweet like risk reward balance right here. So that looks really, really nice. Let's see. There were a couple of others. Oh yeah, Engine Coin popped up crazy today. It was sort of it almost, I don't know, it's hard to say. When you have the 50 cross the 100, there's always a little bit of, it can sometimes create a longer term trend move. So last time we were, so we had our death cross here. A lot of investors will reinvest here in using long-term trends. That strategy would have paid off pretty well. So in at the golden cross, out at this cross here. So there are, so we're seeing some of that. We'll see how much legs it has. This is definitely a pretty long candle. So anyway, watching that. H Hedra. Hedra. This one, I'm curious to see when this downtrend will die out, because we didn't die out and go straight down. We've kind of created a little bit of a fan and created a little volatility. So the bulls are struggling to keep this thing floating. Today was a pretty good move. If we get back above the 200 and we have the 50 above the 100, we might be able to turn this around. This could turn into a green zone, and we've never seen a green zone on Hedra. So this is pretty good. We'll have to keep our eye on this one. There's quite a few other ones. I know we'd watched Mana for a while and it had a pretty good pump. Well, look at this. Right now, we are climbing back up to the bodies of this. It almost felt like we were getting a little upside down because these long wicks down here, and then plus a really strong rejection day. But man, 3 days in a row, we're just marching back up. This will be one heck of a head and shoulders. Do you see this? This is an inverse head and shoulders where, yeah, I'll draw it. We'll get all fancy today. Right. I'll draw it from here. Right there. So it's a little slanted. If we kind of leveled it off a little bit, just so we can kind of see the neckline. The neckline's like right here, though. When we break the neckline, it'll be pretty obvious. It's essentially closing above these highs here. So we have a good trade on the table. This move, this puts so 361. That puts a price target on this at about 900 to 1,000. This is a good trade because most of us, we would have entered at the exit of the red zone at 300. So hitting 1,000 is a triple. This is going to be a nice trade, and you can see the resistance right here. So it'll probably get a little toppy right in here, but man, what good structure! Mana's looking really, really nice, and I actually had a fair amount of mana that I thought I lost. I went and found an old ledger, and I've got a decent amount of mana on there, so that's pretty cool. I'm looking to probably liquidate that if we hit around 1,000, because I believe that, it's a great project, but that mana goes up and down, so I'd love to just reinvest at a lower price, after, with what I have. Mona is definitely exiting the red zone, so this one's a positive one. We've got Wax that's just about to exit the red zone, so keep an eye on these. Exiting the red zone is so good, especially when our risk is so low. I mean, when we enter at 129, that is like, oh man, like where's the first sign of real price action? It's like way up here. This is a triple on the table. So Wax P could absolutely explode. And it just looks good all the way across the board. I mean, just look how many coins are just doing their thing. IOTA just is amazing. I hadn't spent very much time talking about it, but for those of you who are following, exiting the red zone, you would have definitely had an entrance point at any time below 1,600. We kind of struggled with the 50 for a little bit, but then we've just been on the rampage. These are the types of candles where you want to be taking some profit, though. This is a pretty tall candle. So, well, actually, this is what you do when you see a candle like this. What you want to do is go to the 5-minute chart and see if you can see any kind of breakdown in the structure. And you can see that we've kind of maintained above the 50-minute, 55-minute interval. We broke right here. This is where our breakdown happened. So I would have exited right in here somewhere. But now look what we're finding support off the 100, and then I'm not sure what's going on with this. Really, it must be a super thin market over here. So you'll have to look at probably Binance or something else that's trading more heavily. But as long as there's a general slope that doesn't really get broken, we can march on up until you see a pretty significant sideways movement, and then you've found a pretty good exit. So that's how I usually trade these long candles where you can't really see what's going on really well. But yeah, anytime you've got 7 days in a row of green and then you have a giant blow off candle, these are the exit candles. These are the ones you want to exit on and take that profit, because even if it keeps going, you know, you've already doubled or tripled by now, and what are you going to do? Wait for it to hit, you know, 6,000? Like, where's your double is here, and that's starting to get a little bit less likely than a return back to 50% drop. So your risk reward gets skewed. All right, so algo looks like it just never quits. Like, this thing is just on fire. This is as pretty as you can get. And now we are threatening to close above the 200. So we are doing really well. For our 100 to be this far away from our 200, we have a ways to go before we even start the green zone. So, oh man, this one's just a beautiful slow rise climber. Man, those can make you some money. So those are great. Everything else looks pretty good. I'll kind of skip over a lot of these really micro caps, and I know some of you guys are really following the some of these DeFi coins, but somebody requested me to take a look at VeChain, and I figure I'll mention it. VeChain has been trading in a pattern for quite a while. Oh, that's not helpful at all. Okay, so you can kind of see where our top line is. This is kind of where our resistance is, and we've got climbing support. And so we're just trading in this range. So that's what we're looking like on the weekly. And then when you flip over to the daily, you can see how we've just been consolidating. So all of this sideways movement, it's a coil that's just getting ready for the next spring. So it's pretty volatile for consolidation, especially for VeChain, because normally its consolidation has been a little tighter. But this is going to there's a lot of energy that's going to get released one way or the other, and because we're already so low, there's really only one way for this to go. So I think eventually we will break out the top and have another good run. So this one's just be patient, because it's going to do pretty well as far as I can see. AGI has had a couple of good days in a row. This structure is amazing. Look how we've exited the red zone, resisted off the 100, gained the 50, broke through the 100, then retested it as support, and now we're up getting resisted off of the 200. So we're just checking boxes here. Just the perfect structure. Higher lows, higher highs. We're just marching on all the way up. And to boot, we have also got a breakout day here. You can see how we were in this kind of parallel channel. Now we're up and out. So if we pop up here and find support on this channel, we could even have more upside. So it's all season. When we break out of these red zones just all the way across the board, this is when you make your money. And this only happens like once or twice a year. So this is it. Get excited. Once we get into the green zone, things are going to start wearing out a little bit. If everything's in the green zone, we're running for the hills. We're heading out. We're going to be looking for exits. And what exit are we looking for? In my mind, we're heading all back to Bitcoin. Stack those bags full, because this is where it is long term. Anyway, a lot of fun. You guys, we will catch you tomorrow, and hope everyone has a good day.